Hey everyone. Growing up, people always develop a likeness for a celebrity, either from watching a movie or a show they were in. But one thing that always sucks is then realizing or hearing out about how horrible they are, which is really common because the fame makes a lot of people arrogant and childish. In this video, I'm going to be reacting to a couple of celebrities that are really rude to either fans, people they work with, or maybe both. But on the other hand, I also reacting to a couple of celebrities who are extremely nice in person. Like the ones where the fans who have met them only have good stories to tell about them. Which for me is really heartwarming. Because I feel like when a fan meets someone they look up to, they get so nervous that they don't even know how to act. But I'm glad that despite that, they still leave the interaction really happy and with a positive note. As opposed to some other stories you'll see soon.
Who are the 5 nicest celebrities and who are the 5 meanest?
I can tell you who the meanest one I ever met was. Her name is Ellen DeGeneres.
But while all the
He fucked up the name so bad.
being awful, Adam Sandler is always highlighted as being incredibly kind. Take for example the time he was refused a table at IHOP after the server failed to realize it was Adam Sandler asking. Embarrassed, the server shared the CCTV to TikTok, prompting Adam Sandler to meet with the waitress personally, while joking about the rejection by stating, "For the record, I only left the IHOP because the nice woman told me the all-you-can-eat deal didn't apply to the milkshakes," although fans were impressed for a slightly different reason. It's very humble of him to not assert that he's a celebrity and ask for special treatment. He acted just like a regular customer and didn't challenge anyone. I respect him for that, with his humble attitude extending to wedding photo bombs, and that time he randomly appeared for some chicken.
Hi guys.
I don't know if it's just me, but I would be pissed off if Adam Sandler photobombed my wedding.
Wait. No way, you're joking.
He filmed a good chunk of Mr. Deeds in my hometown, and he was simply the nicest man ever. He would come out to sign autographs after a full 14+ hour day of shooting. Didn't matter how long the line was, he made sure every single person got to say hello. He had time for photographs and chats with everyone in town, frequented all the local coffee shops and posed with employees. He seemed to really care and know how excited we all were to have a movie happening and always had a smile, although Adam's fans aren't the only people to talk very highly of him.
You guys love each other. Is that fair to say?
For sure.
Yeah. I hear each of you individually talking about the other in such fond terminology.
Yeah.
After Pete Davidson worked with Adam Sandler on Saturday Night Live, Pete went on to state he's just such a cool, nice guy. I can't explain how wonderful of a person he is. Just like caring and sweet and not full of crap, which is very rare to find. But while Adam Sandler's happy on-screen mood clearly extends to his personal life, Mike Myers from Austin Powers is apparently much different when the cameras aren't rolling.
That sucks. I'm surprised Adam Sandler is actually that nice. I was kind of like suspecting him to be like kind of an asshole from when you see of all of his movies just being a piece of shit. But I'm surprised he does seem like that kind of like old man that seems kind of tired, but he still wants to make people happy. So I'm glad.
Twitter users exposed Mike Myers as an absolute nightmare to work with. The article referred to a tweet reading, "Mike Myers had me fired off the set of The Love Guru because I made eye contact with him and I was there as his bodyguard." The tweet had been posted.
How could someone that's Austin Powers be that much of an asshole?
In a podcast.
You'll be basically guarding Mike Myers' trailer. They're like, here's the catch. Can't look at him. But I realized like I can't let just anyone into the trailer. So I look up, I catch his eye for a second. I give him a nod to let him know I'm cool. And then I look away, and within an hour I get a phone call letting me know that I'm fired and I have to get off set.
Prompting others to give their own anecdotes about Mike Myers' terrible attitude. I was an extra in Love Guru and remember being told we can't make eye contact with Mike. When I tell people this, they don't believe me. Thanks for confirming. People always wonder why there weren't more Austin Powers movies, but never realize how many stories there are like this about him. Basically, no one wants to work with the guy, with one of these other stories coming from the set of The Cat in the Hat, where Mike's co-star Amy Hill stated, his area was all covered with tenting because he didn't want anybody seeing him. It was so weird, it was just the worst, I was miserable. Hill also revealed how Diva Myers selfishly kept everyone waiting for hours, overruled the director, and even had someone standing by, just holding his personal chocolates in a dish.
In his defense, anyone playing Cat in the Hat would be in so much mental torment that it's unsurprising that he would act like this.
It's a horrible, nightmarish experience, although people have only ever said the opposite about Steve Buscemi. Buscemi worked as a New York firefighter before quitting to pursue acting, although when the Twin Towers were destroyed on September 11, Buscemi walked into his old fire department to volunteer, working 12 hours a day for a week straight in the hopes of finding survivors. He called his old firehouse, then receiving no reply, headed to the site, where he found his former engine company. me. I asked if I could join them, he said, adding I could tell they were a little suspicious at first, but I worked with them that day. It was a privilege to be able to do it. It was great to connect with the firehouse I used to work with and with some of the guys I worked alongside. Note, this was in 2001 after he was already extremely famous from movies such as Fargo, yet according to an independent article on his volunteering, very few photographs and no interviews exist because he declined them. He wasn't there for publicity. Wouldn't you think you were hallucinating if Steve Buscemi helped you out of the rubble?
That's insane, because most people at that point, I'm not saying it's bad, but most people would like donate to charity during 9/11. But I'm surprised he actually went to like rejoin his firefighting company.
Once had a complicated order. He always ordered the most simple thing on the menu and always tipped 20+%. Not to mention Buscemi gets extra credit for being close friends with Adam Sandler. However, it seems Jerry Seinfeld was left out of the party, given every clip of him I've seen outside of his shows is just him being an unlikable douche with an ego the size of a small country. This sentiment began with a Larry King interview from 2007.
I went off the air. I was the #1 show on television, Larry. Do you know who I am? 75 million viewers. Last episode.
What? You don't take it so bad.
Well, that's the big difference between being canceled and being #1.
Okay, I'm sorry. B-movie
Can we get a resume in here for me?
B-movie opens tomorrow.
Although this attitude extends into...
I never knew he was that big of an asshole, getting angry at Larry King. How can you be angry at Larry King? He seems like such a nice, calm guy, but I want to see like the full context of what he said to get him that upset. Like, I'm #1, I'm #1. But I guess it's one of those things where you think someone's like really nice and calm, but in reality they're like a huge egomaniac, saying like, I'm the best.
To other moments like the time he rejected Kesha.
I love you so much.
Oh, thanks.
Can I give you a hug?
No, thanks.
Please?
No, thanks.
A little one.
Yeah, no, thanks.
If you were 14, I would. I swear to God, he had a 14-year-old girlfriend.
I don't know who that was.
Yeah, it's Kesha.
Okay.
Jerry then offered no apology for rejecting her.
I don't hug a total stranger. I have to meet someone, say hello. I need to know, who are you?
No,
and
I
she was
really-
very nice about it. We laughed about it.
Did you?
Yeah.
We laughed
Did
about
you
it.
hug her afterwards?
I laughed more than her, so it made me happy.
No.
Leading Kesha to change her mind about him for pretty obvious reasons.
What happened with Jerry Seinfeld?
Is that Joe
Oh
Diaz?
my God. Are you friends with him?
I am not.
Okay, we're good. It was like the saddest moment of my life.
Jerry also has a
Oh, come
reputation for destroying...
I get that it's heartbreaking to like go to one of your favorite people and then get declined for a hug, but at the same time, it's just Jerry Seinfeld. It's not like a country's gonna be nuked if you didn't get a hug.
The worst place, like you bomb. I'm sure comics go through all the time.
Another very weak question.
And after Lady Gaga was moved to his luxury basketball box for acting rudely at a game, he had this to say.
This woman's a jerk. I hate her. I can't believe they put her in my box, which I paid for. This is what you give people the finger and you get upgraded? Is that the world we're living in now?
Hysterical. I love him.
Jerry Seinfeld's meanness definitely has a charisma to it. However, if you're wanting a more humble type of charisma, then we have to talk about Post Malone. With entire compilations dedicated to him treating other people kindly, there are almost too many wholesome moments to choose from.
Did you draw this? This is awesome.
I'm not saying it. I'm not trying to say this in a negative way, but you can tell it's from a kid from the way it's drawn, and it's always heartwarming for me to see people like appreciate like younger fans' art, because that you have no. I've never been in that situation, but I know for a fact it means like the whole world for them. So that makes me really glad.
There was that time
really
he went
glad.
out of his way to greet a 21-year-old having his first beer, or that time he gave his $5,000 guitar to a fan after a concert.
You want a guitar? Yes! It's like a $5,000 guitar, so you have to promise me. You gotta promise me that you're gonna take care of it later. Okay?
Post Malone treats paparazzi in the opposite way to Jerry Seinfeld.
I'm not saying people should have favoritism. I'm not saying people should have favoritism for fans, but it is way better to give that kind of like free stuff to a kid as opposed to some grown-ass man who's gonna sell it anyways.
This fan somehow made it past security. Post Malone hugs the guy and treats him respectfully before he's taken off the stage. In a different instance, Post Malone let a fan come on stage to play the guitar part in Stay, and it's therefore no surprise that fans have told anecdotal stories such as, someone in a similar thread said Post moved into his brother's street and went and introduced himself to all his new neighbors and invited them for a barbecue. Genuinely sounds like an awesome guy. I believe this 100%. He had a party in an Airbnb or something a few houses down from my group's Airbnb, and he legit went around the cul-de-sac himself inviting everyone to the party. He also spent the entire night moving between groups, chatting and generally being a phenomenal host and ensuring everyone had a blast. 10 out of 10 dude. But while nobody has anything negative to say about Post Malone,
I want to guess who this is. I think it's time for everyone's favorite, Ellen DeGeneres, which is probably by far my favorite shitty person. You can just, it's not one of those situations where like behind the scenes they're a piece of shit, but on stage they're really nice. She's just like a bitch throughout her entire show. So I'm not surprised.
It seems nobody has anything positive to say about Chevy Chase. Remember when
I barely know him,
Adam
kind
Sandler
of.
earlier in the video? Well, Pete had the opposite to say about Chevy Chase, stating, "He's a fucking douchebag. I hate that dude. He's just a genuinely bad racist person and I don't like him." Chevy Chase was fired from Community after calling Donald Glover the N-word, not to mention before.
You can feel that like racist sentiment in that picture just from this single frame.
Fired from Community after calling Donald Glover the N-word, not to mention before the firing, Chase was simply difficult to work with.
He was someone that did not want to.
I'll say this off the bat. All I know is that he was somewhat popular in older movies, so I can immediately tell he has like that kind of arrogance, being like, you know, do you know what movies I did where he feels like he's better than everyone else.
That we were keeping. He sometimes could be in not great moods.
Earlier in his career, Chevy Chase had gotten into a fist fight with Bill Murray, and while interviewing Robert Downey Jr., Chase stated, "Didn't your father used to be a successful director? Whatever happened to him? Boy, he sure died, you know, he sure went to hell."
Oh my
It's
God.
therefore no surprise that even Will Ferrell stated, "The worst host was Chevy Chase." Yet Chevy Chase foolishly claims that all criticism is just jealousy.
Did you just say that writers writing anything negative is jealousy? Yeah, I did. What kind of jealousy? I'm funnier than them? Yeah, I guess maybe. I'm considered good looking? Yeah, there you have it.
It seems Chevy Chase needs a lesson on humility, and who better to teach it than Shaquille O'Neal.
Gotta humble yourself. It's all about humility. And that's why I am where I am now. I humble
I mean, he can eat that microphone. Have you seen that picture where he holds like a water bottle and it's like the size of his hand? He could stuff that entire like microphone setup down his throat.
His life was going next.
I was lost. 76,000 square foot house by yourself. No kids. Go to the gym. Nobody's playing in the gym. You go to their room. Nobody's there.
It was during this period that Shaq's mum Lucille gave him some advice.
And then the queen, Dr. Lucille O'Neal, said, "Hey man, I don't know you no more. You need to humble yourself." And when mama talks, a true man listens.
After which Shaq began working on becoming a better person. He'd state, "The day I killed the narcissist Shaq is the day my kids texted me, 'Hey daddy, I miss you.' Bro, when I got one of those texts, man, I actually cried then. I didn't know what to say. After I got that love from them, I said, you know what, I'm not gonna be the asshole Shaq no more. Cause I was an asshole and I lost everything. The day I released all that me, Shaq is the day the blessings opened up. As a result, Shaq's been trying to create a fairly unique legacy.
Talk about legacies. I want mine to be one sentence. Shaq was a nice guy.
Which has been aided by his random acts of kindness, purchasing bikes, shoes, and laptops for less fortunate children. It seems the only people Shaq won't give money to are his own kids.
Because I believe in respectable nepotism. You get all A's this next semester, you can get whatever you want. So he gets all A's, and I was like, go to the dealership and pick one. Then I get a call from Tesla. I said, man, you better take your ass across the street to Honda.
But while Shaq is an obvious choice as a nice celebrity, someone you might not expect to be rude is Bill Nye the Science Guy. I met Bill Nye as a kid and he was the biggest asshole I've ever met. It was a huge letdown after watching his show so often in class. My science teacher from 7th grade told us she had an explanation for why she tried to show us as few Bill Nye videos as possible. I believe she said she attended either a science workshop or an event for teachers where Bill Nye was there, and he was completely rude to her and dismissed her the whole time. Bill's dark side becomes pretty obvious when he debates other scientists.
How can you be an asshole when you wear a bow tie as part of your character?
However, it seems he becomes the meanest when talking to his most popular demographic, kids. Bill Nye came to visit my university.
He actually stomped and killed a 12-year-old.
Sexist jokes to relate to the crowd. He kept complimenting women's legs and saying weird stuff about how sexy women are. He was trying to be relatable, but was sorely mistaken, as he faced a crowd of driven female engineers and scientists. He went on about climate change and basically insinuated that we could be the policy changers while the real scientists did the real work. I couldn't believe how much my views of him were falling apart as I watched him pander to students he clearly didn't care about. I later heard that he wouldn't speak with students, only professors, with this anecdote following the very common theme of Bill Nye was my hero until I heard him talk. Although thankfully Keanu Reeves is the perfect...
why he showed up. Now, I have nothing against Keanu Reeves, but I'm so sick and tired of hearing his name always brought up like, he's an angel, he can do no wrong. I don't want to sound like an asshole, but I just hope there's one situation where he's kind of like a douchebag, purely because I hate seeing one celebrity where everything about them is just like how nice he is, which I'm just so sick and tired of.
Balance between good and evil. While filming the second two Matrix movies, Keanu Reeves chose to give up $75 million worth of his movie earnings, instead redirecting the money to the special effects team who he said deserved it more. Even then, this might not have been his most charitable act whilst filming. As a Reddit user stated, a family friend builds movie sets, doesn't design, is one of the poor dudes that just builds. Anyways, he worked on the set for The Matrix, and Keanu heard about family trouble he was having and gave him a $20,000 Christmas bonus to help him out, although money isn't the only thing that Keanu has given up. In 2011, he was candidly filmed giving up his seat on the New York subway, and 3 years later in 2014, he waited patiently for 20 minutes in the rain outside the wrap party of his own film Daughter of God after a mix-up because he didn't want to cause a scene. He didn't say, "Hey, I'm Keanu Reeves," or "Yo man, this is my party" once to the bouncer, and the owner of the club was horrified when he found out afterwards that the actor was standing in the rain. It's therefore no surprise that there's an extremely popular subreddit dedicated to Keanu Reeves being awesome, although...
Right, if you love him, I understand, but why would you waste your own time to make a subreddit called Keanu Reeves is awesome?
There's one person who could offset this kindness with meanness, it's definitely Ellen DeGeneres. Right now, we all need a little kindness. You know, like Ellen DeGeneres always talks about. She's also notoriously one of the meanest people alive.
I pray to God he brings up the soup story. I think it's about a soup, where someone brings out like a soup for her and it's somewhat lukewarm, and she's just so pissed off about it.
Expected how bad the responses would be. When I was 15, The Ellen Show was doing a contest of fans making a bust of her and sending it to her. I worked so hard on this and even wrote her a letter. Weeks later, she used it as a prop in a game and gave it away to a random person with $500 attached to the bottom. Working for her, I was instructed that I can't look her in the eye and never ever say hi to her first. But don't worry, she definitely won't be saying hi to you in the first place. She creates the most toxic environment for her staff. I worked at Real Food Daily, served her and Portia at brunch. She wrote a letter to the owner and complained about my chipped nail polish. Not that it was on her plate, but just that it was on my hand. I'd worked till closing the night before, and this was the next morning, almost got me fired. Chris Pontius stated on Steve-O's podcast that he wasn't surprised to hear these anecdotes.
It's crazy that all this stuff's come out, like, about Ellen being mean, because when I met her, I thought she was really mean, like, and she's like, "So what do I gotta do?" And she's just pissed to be there, and then she comes out on stage and she's like all like funny, nice Ellen, you know, like the person that they think she is.
And apparently neither were the 10 employees who came forward 4 months later to expose her terrible working environment.
Toxic, phony, hypocrite, liar. That's what she is. We were told from the very beginning, don't talk to Ellen, don't do this, you can't go into her office. It was very nerve-wracking, very stressful. We all walked on eggshells all the time.
As a result, Ellen took a 14-week hiatus, returning with a pretty standard apology.
Sometimes I get sad, I get mad, I get anxious, I get frustrated, I get impatient, and I am working on all of that.
However, this failed to ensure a returning audience, as in May 2022, Ellen's show was cancelled completely.
Man, I would respect her. I would respect her so much more if she was like, "Man, fuck all of you, I'm rich." That would, of course, like not saved anything, but it would have been funny. And at that point, where everyone hates you, the only thing you can do is just make them laugh. But anyways, I think the most surprising one for me was the Adam Sandler one, where he was actually really nice. Because to me, I haven't watched a lot of his movies, but in each one, he does seem like kind of like to me at least, he looked like the kind of guy who would show up and said, like, kind of drunk, he didn't care, but no, he was actually quite nice to everyone, the fans. And that story about him working like a 14-hour shoot and then still having time and the energy to do autographs for everyone, that's like incredible. Most actors would just like crouch to like the van and be like, "I don't give a shit," but no, he actually took the time to at least make everyone happy, which, you know, that's good. And the only person who was an asshole that I found kind of funny was Bill Nye, because I would be like heartbroken if I looked up to someone someone like him, and then as I grew up, he inspired me so much that I went to science, and then I see him in one meeting and he's an asshole to everyone. That's kind of funny, but I think every person does need like kind of like that eye-opening situation where they realize like their heroes are just like some asshole and they're nowhere near as nice as they envisioned in their head. I still love the image of him being sexist to like a bunch of female scientists while wearing his little bow tie. That's so funny to me.
Hell yeah. Now hear he wanna see thee more clearly. I know he hear me when my feet get weary, cause we're the almost nearly extinct. We rappers as role models, we rap, we don't think.